Hi, I'm Asha Thomas. I represent Advait Foundation. We are an NGO in the space of education, especially K-12, focused on K-12. We started out, looking at the underserved children, and we said we'll give them access to schooling and we'll take care of their after school, because for them to be successful in school, they need a lot of support out of school. So we started as a residential program, and subsequently, based on our experiences there, we moved on to starting our own school. And here, as a school, the model is an integrated model. We have children from all different socio-economic status. Apart from these children who stay with us in our hostel, we have children from the neighborhood, again from a similar background, who come into the school. And we also have a portion of the children who come in who are fee-paying children. And the model was designed in such a way so that we can ensure there's a certain amount of quality that will be maintained. We believe that if you have a little bit of that, the market facing, they will bring in those forces to ensure that quality is retained, and also it is a sustainable model. So today I'm here to speak about the Samhita Academy. That is the name of our school. We have other projects which we have started, which is like a platform for school leadership last year, and Skilling Institute this year. These are still in the very early stages. So just to give a little background of the children who are coming from this disadvantaged background. This is probably something you're familiar with. They have a lot. This is what we call the hidden baggage that they come to school with. So apart from the academic struggles that they have, this is something that they deal with, and this is the kind of diversity, and this is the outcomes that we can see in the classrooms. The blue is the privileged classes coming with English exposure, all of that. Then the next lot of children are the children where we support them in our own hostel facility, and the third group, which they have reached only their grade 4 now, they are the children who don't get any kind of support outside of school hours. So, and most of our effort goes in bringing up this huge amount of effort, trying to bring them to grade level. So we have a lot of course, issues that we could think of, but we kind of narrowed down to 2 areas here. One was in the whole area of assessments. So today it's a very manual process. The children, handwrite it, teachers correct it by hand, question by question, and then there's one total marks which is given, and then that gets some, entered into some systems for reporting, all of that. But that doesn't really help me with anything. It doesn't help me to remediate. It just tells me how the whole class is doing. There's so many children at this grade, but by topic level, by the strategies that we may have used, I have no data to tell me what worked, what didn't work. And then the teachers spend a lot of time just doing all this kind of manual work, which they could have spent probably in remediation, where we find very little time actually for them to do. So these are some of the problems. We have totaling errors, analysis, and again here, I'm not just talking about quantitative, how many got it right, wrong, but also maybe looking at some of the open-ended questions, that kind of data, and some kind of qualitative input on the kind of answers that are coming out, and whether there's understanding based on the taxonomy of the question, whether it is a higher order thing question, is it a rote learning. So those kind of data, it's all lost. There's nothing there for us to work on. So that was one of the areas that we had identified. And we don't really have too much of data right now. It's like I said, at the whole paper level, I have some marks, and this is what the paper would look like. Some of them are like worksheets, some are foolscap sheets into which they're writing. So this is where the data is, and I think sort of you had suggested some technology.
So when we kind of work with them, we realize it's purely a very paper-intensive job, right? So today in the corporate world, we have intelligence scanners which scan not only digital data, but also OCRs have been able to match handwritings, and patterns and things like that. So if a scanner with an intelligent AI algorithm can be put in place, which scans the answer sheet and gives some bit of analysis almost at a real-time basis for the student, for the teacher to undertake, so that she can then appropriately take a remedial action. Today what is happening is there is a teacher bias. there is fatigue in teachers, let's be honest, because each teacher actually kind of translates to what, 30 or 40 children?
30, but she does at least 90 children, covers 90 children.
So it's, you know, even in our corporate world, if you do a span of control, we say that's not a very optimized model, right? So thinking about technology implementation more from an intelligence perspective, scanners are available, yes, but maybe an intelligent algorithm which kind of captures this information in a digital format, provides real-time analytics, would be of great help, right? So you want to add, Asha, more on this?
Yeah, so I see, the thing is, this is one of the areas. So what is the kind of qualitative analysis it can give me? I don't know, because that would depend on what is the state of the technology.
So when's like you write the GRE or the GMAT exam, so it's MCQ, math and quant, and there's a essay section. So in the essay section, there's a human grader and a computer grader. So essentially, the computer grader also follows similar AI algorithms where for each prompt, what we are given, let's say you're talking about road traffic accidents, and the prompt will have, your answer should have certain keywords on which you'll be graded. So similarly, when you ask questions on your subjects, maybe science, geography, history, whatever, that particular answers would have certain keywords or certain facts which a good answer must have. So probably that can be fed into the algorithm, and on those basis, a good grade can be given. And if there is a discrepancy, a human teacher can rectify it or add to it. So that could be a method which you could adopt.
Right, Richa, so you had a question.
I just had a comment. I actually, when I was visiting MIT last time, some of the people there told me how they really large courses with several hundred students. And I think there's technology available, for example, in the US to scan a bunch of answer sheets, automatically split them into different questions. And then so each teaching assistant specializes in grading few questions. So even if that grading is manual, there is it doesn't have to be, the intelligence doesn't have to be just an evaluation. The intelligence can also be in routing and matching the answers to the right person, who's a human skill more efficiently.
Just going to the next area, which is slightly more specialized, which is from our special education department. Yes.
Also, a question about the paradigm of scanning and stuff. So, do you need to do one at a time? Could you just not batch? Because lots of AI algorithms take things in batch, build unsupervised models. For example, models of what character sequences occur together. And that could be very well used to improve the accuracy on a batch rather than scan one at a time.
So that's agreed upon. So today, see, they're in a manual stage. So whatever technology solutions that we get out of this session and this 2 days of workshop, and we do a technical feasibility and a financial viability for the NGO to adopt, they would be more than happy to get it. They're here to seek help more to move from that manual to a intelligent digital journey. Yeah.
We are actually like what you already spoke the one we are building something similar, but we come from a different model. So we are integrating. So we came from a smartphone, doing exams on smartphone model, but I don't think that works. But as part of this, since we had the entire infrastructure built around evaluation, we are also building the scanning mode into it, which is basically you just take a bunch of, there are scanners which you can bulk feed, it kind of pulls it from that and segregates into the questions and stuff. And what we also are working together with this is also a question bank that goes hand in hand with it there, where you talk about Bloom's taxonomy, whatever it is you want to. So you can actually set questions based on some learning models and then you evaluate it. Since I'm a teacher myself, this thing about taking AI taking the role of a teacher, I'm still not comfortable, because you just kill creativity. If someone doesn't answer the way, I don't like that mode. But nonetheless, certain other aspects can be done, and we are doing some work. I'll talk to you about after.
That's great, actually. That's a good dialogue and a good discussion to have. So let's keep moving on the next.
Yeah, so the next area is in our early reading program. I'll give it to Vijay.
So one of our important observation learning has been that the head start that we can give our kids is learning to read, because most of them enter grade 1 don't have skills in terms of literacy competency, let alone reading in English. And when they need to access content in English, then it becomes like a double barrier for them. So all our grade 1 and grade 2 kids go through something called the reading program. Now, for that, we have to spend a lot of time doing like whole class screening to understand who are kids who are at risk, who are kids who are at high risk, who are kids who are already proficient, and how can we accelerate the kids who are already proficient. And then once we do get them into groups where we do systematic intervention, it is the progress monitoring. We do know, we follow 3 things in our reading program: read to self, read to someone, listen to reading, and then the teacher is the one who is kind of a facilitator, who kind of makes the whole reading process, extra, she just demonstrates the whole thing. So when we do know that time spent on reading by yourself is so important, and that leads to a high amount of success, we are unable to monitor that independent reading program. And we're talking about 6 years old and 7-year-old who do not have much self-regulation, right? So a lot of things get lost as to how are they reading during that independent time. A teacher will maximum have, say, about 15 minutes a week to listen to one child read, right? But the rest of the time they're reading to someone or reading to a peer. So and those are very vital opportunities that give us a lot of deep skill building that happens in children. And that is also something that we are looking at. How do we capture it so that if there is a way, today we do have a simple reading, recorder, but then the teacher has to go through the process of listening to all these recordings, then analyze it, do the data entry, where the errors are happening, what is the next stage. So what we're also looking at is a technology solution that will minimize that, which will capture in student reading, interpret it for the teacher, so that most of the time then is spent on actually teaching and then planning for teaching. So that is what we're looking at. Yes.
So I'm assuming you're talking about the students reading out loud?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, grade
So,
1
yeah,
and
yeah,
grade
yeah,
2
yeah.
kids, most of them anyway are reading aloud.
There has been a lot of work. Sorry. Yeah. So there has been a lot of work done on reading tutors, and like almost 8-9 years ago, there was something called Project Listen from CMU, which was a speech recognition based system. I had done a study at that time, ages and ages ago, 8-9 years ago, with some of the schools around Bangalore, where we had integrated some of the Pratham books into that, and we did it at primary school level. We had, I think, grade 3, grade 4, and in government schools, grade 9. It had all the books classified grade-wise from K1 to K12. It had, not K12, K10 probably, 9, 10. It had exercises, it had, it would give students feedback, and what it would do is actually cull all that information and prepare reports for the teachers at the end of the thing. So there is, what I'm not sure is whether Project Listen is actually open source and it's available for everybody or not. But, I can put you in touch with the prof at CMU who does this, and, you could have a conversation with him, because whatever you're asking for is actually available. Like, yeah.
Thank you. We will certainly take it.
This is a little bit more sophisticated because it does a lot of analysis on the students' reading and prepares reports and lets the teacher have the data so that they can actually monitor it and see what's happening and what's working.
The parameters we have developed over the years in terms of looking at learning patterns of especially high risk and struggling readers, right? So we do have the parameters, we do. It is the time taken that we are looking at how do we enable teachers so that their focus is more that quality time that they spend with the kids is based on taking them to the next goal rather than spending a lot of time back in doing error analysis. So, that is where increasingly our challenge with the number of kids is on. But I'll certainly connect with you.
Yeah,
on that.
I'll tell you more about how that works, because parameters, there's one thing that the teacher might have, some kind of parameters in their mind, and that goes back to what she was saying, that actually having AI replace teachers is probably
No,
controversial right now. But there are parameters that would be useful for you. So the parameters that they use to evaluate are also pedagogy based. It's not like just
No, I
randomly
understand
created.
that. I understand
things.
that.
Yeah, so
And
we can take the dialogue further up in the breakout session. I think in the interest of time, let's just make sure that we
Yeah,
have
so I think these are the two that we identified. Of course, there was a lot of exciting things on that NLP and all that. Maybe that I can do at the table.
Absolutely.
Find out a little more
Yeah.
on those, which could help our English language learners, those who have absolutely no exposure to English. So that's another area, but I think we'll take it in a breakout
You
session.
want the next slide? So this is the kind of data sets that are currently available with the team out here. So any opportunity to automize this and kind of make it more effective and efficient would be much more appreciable. That's the whole idea, to bring this to the table.